Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is Thursday, October the 31st, 2024. Yep, it's been a long day at work. Man, I don't even know how I keep doing this. I really don't. Looking for something else that I want to do right now. Working a 9 to 5 is definitely not it. But I'm home now, back in my peace and serenity space. But I want to check out what's going on the news with this election that's coming up. Let me check out what's going on. Let's see. I think Fox probably has something about the election.
Watch what turmeric does to your dog's body.
Hold on. Turn that down a little bit. Okay.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. There are 5 days until the election. It's a toss-up and the key for Donald Trump's campaign.
You see.
Absolute garbage. The most corrupt, horrible people. These are horrible people. These are sick.
Let me see.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. There are
Okay, let me see this about. Okay, let me check this one out. It's Beyonce at that rally. No, let me find something else. I heard enough of that. Let's see what Haley Jackson is talking about today. Okay, Haley, what you got to say?
worst natural disaster in modern history. We are on the ground in a part of Spain virtually unrecognizable after the deadly floods there. Plus, a woman accusing disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs of rape, ordered to reveal her identity or drop her lawsuit. What it means as the feds try to build their case against Combs with new evidence. And a stunning reversal in the state of Georgia's longest criminal trial ever, why rapper Young Thug is just now deciding to plead guilty. Then, in our original Step Right Up and Place Your Bets on the election, inside the booming market for gambling on Decision 2024 and what the odds could influence.
They play some bets on. They play some.
And on this Halloween evening, we start with.
How greedy can you be? Now you could place bets on the election. Who's gonna win the election? Oh my God, it's just really getting ridiculous up in this place.
With both campaigns asking the same questions with less than 6 days to go. How will the West be won? Both Vice President Harris and former President Trump are taking swings through the Sun Belt, though not necessarily in swing states. We start with VP Harris, who is speaking live on stage in Phoenix, and in just the last half hour, our own Yamiche Alcindor asked her about comments by Mr. Trump. He said he would protect women whether they like it or not. His words.
Former President Donald Trump has said that he would be a protector of women, whether they like it or not. What do you make of that, and how does that contrast with your views on women and their rights and needs?
Well, I'll just speak on behalf of myself, but also the Americans that I speak with every day around our country, regardless of their gender, which is the majority of Americans believe that women are intelligent enough and should have and be respected for their agency to make decisions for themselves about what is in their best interest. And I have
Yes. And shouldn't that be making the decision before you commit the sexual act or whatever? Before you lay down with a guy unprotected? Shouldn't that decision come before then? Woo, I tell you.
their government, and certainly not Donald Trump telling them what to do.
Harris will head to 2 cities in Nevada next, including a visit with Jenny from the Block, Jennifer Lopez, on stage in Las Vegas. It is part of Harris's push for Puerto Rican voters, inspired by a speaker at Trump's MSG rally this week who called Puerto Rico, quote, a floating island of garbage. Trump taking a different approach, spending the early part of his stay in New Mexico.
Kamala broke it, and I will fix it, and I'll fix it very quickly. And with your support, New Mexico, look, don't make me waste a whole damn half a day here, okay?
It is a curious strategy given how
Trump a trip.
Mexico in the 21st century. The big question for Trump, is it confidence or is it hubris? We're live in the desert right now, and we want to start with NBC's Monica Alba, who's at the White House, and she's watching the Harris event. Monica, we see that there's a new ad right now that Harris campaign is running, talking about this racist joke about Puerto Rico, and whether that might actually peel voters away from Trump, especially in the Sun Belt. Is that the strategy now?
It's definitely a focus for the Harris campaign in these waning days, Tom, and it was seen as something that they seized on pretty quickly, given the sizable Puerto Rican populations in some key battleground states like Pennsylvania, which is where the largest concentration of Puerto Ricans outside of the island resides. But also you look at the amount of Puerto Ricans who live in Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and they know that there is obviously a message here that won't just appeal to Puerto Ricans, but to Latinos more generally. So yes, they are leaning into this, and that is why in Nevada and Arizona, where you do have a high concentration of Hispanic voters, that is something that the vice president and her campaign will continue to tout, and they link it really back to, even if that comedian was in the pre-program at the former president's rally and he's the one who made the racist jokes, they try to link it back to what they say Donald Trump has or has not done for Puerto Rico back when he was in office, when that hurricane devastated the island in 2017, for instance, or back to some of the other comments he has made in the past about Latinos or the Hispanic community. So that is something we can expect them to continue to tout. And yes, Jennifer Lopez will be speaking later in Nevada today, and there have been a continuation of celebrity endorsements and key Latinos who have tried to really amplify that as well. Tom.
There's another topic, by the way, we're looking live there at the vice president who's actually speaking as we speak, but there's this other topic that she's pivoting to, and that's healthcare, right? She's responding to an NBC News exclusive report that House Speaker Mike Johnson is suggesting, quote, massive reform to the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, if Trump is elected.
It don't matter what type of reforms that they do, they still going to go in our pockets. Unless they're talking about universal health care, you know, it's garbage. Whatever they come up with is garbage. This country is too greedy. It's too greedy. They're trying to figure out the best way to get more money out of us. That's what they're trying to do. I don't buy it.
It has been a part of Donald Trump's agenda for a very long time. He has made dozens of attempts to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
I had a question. Now, before Obama put that overhaul the medical care system in this country, we didn't have to we weren't penalty. We didn't get a penalty if we didn't have health care. If we didn't take health care from, hold on one second. Yeah, back before Barack became president, we didn't get hit with any fees when we filed for taxes. When we filed for taxes, if we didn't have medical benefits. It wasn't until he became president that he instituted that Medicare overhaul, medical whatever overhaul, to where we are being forced to carry medical insurance. Now, far as the young folks, some of these younger Gen Zs or whatever, they're young, they're healthy, they probably don't want to carry. They probably don't want to carry insurance because they're healthy, they're in good condition. At least they was until you know what. But they probably don't want to carry health insurance or whatever because they feel like they're healthy. They shouldn't be forced to do it. That Obamacare, it forces everybody to be under some type of medical insurance because they were saying, oh, it was too many people without medical insurance and that was bankrupting the system or whatever excuse that they try to make. But I believe that should be a person's right. Just like these women running around screaming, oh, it's a woman's right to choose and all this other stuff. There should be everybody's right to choose whether or not they want medical benefits or not. If you don't want medical benefits and you want to sit in the county all day just for them to do the simplest thing for you, then that's on you. You know, you shouldn't be forced to get these insurances. They're trying to force these insurances on you. And meanwhile, Big Pharma is getting bigger and bigger, collecting all this money. Even if you don't use it, that's money thrown away. But it gets deep. It gets deep when they keep talking about this Medicare and all this other stuff. This gets deep. They should have been solved this issue. This issue this shouldn't be an issue anymore. It should not be an issue anymore. Let's get back to this. This is ridiculous.
And now we have further validation of that agenda from his supporter, the Speaker of the House.
So, Monica, healthcare has taken a back seat in this election, but is there any doubt the Democrats would love to put this back at the forefront?
And another thing, healthcare was the issue when Obama was in there. He should have taken care of this, which he so-called did with that healthcare or whatever they keep calling Obamacare. Why do they keep going back to these issues? Solve the issue. Quit putting band-aids on the issue. You know, we can't move ahead because we keep going back to stuff that should have been gotten resolved. It should have been gotten resolved. You know, it's these Democrats still doing it. Just for that alone, you are showing that you can't solve issues. You cannot solve issues. And not only with the Democrats, the Republicans are the same. This whole mess we dealing with, y'all, it's a mess.
Obamacare has only become more popular over the last few years, right?
Right, and this is in the context, Tom, of trying to make this closing argument about here are the things Donald Trump could do if he returns to the White House, and trying to really make it clear for Americans, in the Vice President's word, what is at stake here. And that's why you saw her lean in also to this message with the former president last night, talking about protecting women, quote, whether the women like it or not, and linking that to reproductive freedom, to abortion rights, and what he might do.
And this reproductive freedom or whatever, women have all the rights. They have so many rights over here. So many rights. I don't feel that there's a problem with the states deciding that. Because you still got a choice. If the states, which that's what happened, I believe, the Supreme Court sent it back to the states, gave the states authority to whether or not they were going to allow abortions in whatever particular state you're living in. So it shouldn't even be an issue. This should not be an issue. If you want to have the right to abort your child, move to a state that allows it. If Democrats feel like they want to support it, you got Democratic states. Move to a Democratic state. What is the problem? This is ridiculous. This is a this is a horizontal issue. Like Dr. Claude Anderson tell us we shouldn't get involved. Tell us, brothers and sisters, American black people, he tell us we shouldn't get involved in any horizontal issue. That is a horizontal issue. Abortion rights. It's a horizontal issue because it has nothing to do with us. It's not going to change black America's situation in this country. It's not. It's not. That is considered a horizontal issue. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson.
Well, on that topic, if he's elected and is back in office, and also connecting that similarly to healthcare, trying to, again, make this a contrast in these closing days and try to illuminate, she says, policy-wise, what he might do if he wins.
This is why people are moving away from politics. At least this is why us brothers, black men, this is why we're moving away from politics. Away from it. We're moving away from it because we see the game that they play. They play the game. It's not about solving issues. It's not about solving issues. It's all about keeping people on what they call it, what do they call that? You're not solving the issue. They just want to prolong it, keep things going, and nothing gets done. Because a lot of these things, you guys, if you're paying attention, a lot of these things, they've been talking about for years and years, and nothing gets done. But we're living in a time that all this trying to force us into voting for someone we don't want to vote for, the lesser of two evils. That time is gone. It's not gone, but it's going away. And that's why this election season is like the way it is right now. That's why it's like that. Because people are saying to hell with the lesser of the two evils. Big up to that.
As opposed to not just raising his rhetoric, which of course they're focusing on as well here in the home stretch. Tom.
Okay, Monica, thank you very much. We want to go now to NBC's Von Hilliard. He is also in Arizona, where Mr. Trump will be appearing later this evening. Von, let's pick up with this New Mexico visit. Unusual choice, since that is such a blue state. Is it confidence he's displaying? Is it hubris? Why did he go to that state when there's such little time left before the actual vote ends Tuesday night?
Right. Well, there is the political argument that Donald Trump could make, and that is that he thinks that he has been able to effectively build his coalition so large, such record numbers, that he's going to overcome that 10 percentage point loss that you showed in 2020 to Joe Biden in New Mexico and be able to win the state this year. He also intends to make a stop in Virginia, which has also gone towards Democrats the last several presidential cycles. But also there is Donald Trump at the beginning of his remarks to that Albuquerque crowd told them that their elections were rigged and that he would win it in 2024. We have heard Donald Trump suggest that even won the state of California, which he lost by 5 million votes in 2020. And so we're seeing Donald Trump suggesting that even in some of these blue states, that he actually won, which is of course just false here. But for Donald Trump, we are.
Another issue is the way we vote in this country. The system is so messed up with the voting now, is that you can't trust whether or not your vote is counting now. You know, it's been so many problems lately when it comes to election. I don't remember all these problems when it comes to election back in the 80s. I don't recall all this madness. It started getting ridiculous with the voting when what's his name? When George W. Bush, not the father, the son, back in 2000, I was living in Florida then, when we had to recount all of those ballots, and they were showing people at the places counting the ballots. They was putting the ballot up, trying to see if it was a hole, a hanging chad, all of that. I remember that. I was living in Florida. That was the first time. That was the beginning of what we're seeing now. That was the beginning of what we're seeing now in 2000. When it came down to it, now you know that there's a problem with the voting system. And that system is over 200 years old. And you telling me that over 200 years you haven't figured out a way to do a vote? To come up with a way where it's more better and secure as far as doing a vote? Oh, it's so ridiculous, y'all. It is so darn ridiculous.
Now just days away, and we've already seen some foundation laid about the potential cheating that he says is going to be happening that could take the election away from him. At the same time, by going into Mexico, it keeps him from making
Trump keeps saying that
the
voting system is not right.
Instead, he's only making
Trump don't trust
in the greater Phoenix area, and this is going to be his last Western swing before Election Day. So this is it here, a stop in Nevada, and the one in Albuquerque, and that's it for Donald Trump.
I gotta say, I'm just kind of stumped by this, Vaughn, but you follow the Trump campaign very closely. Arizona is looking pretty good for Republicans. Not a sure thing, but pretty sure. New Mexico is, by all accounts, completely out of reach. And I'm wondering, does he really believe his own rhetoric? Does he really believe that he won California, except for alleged voting fraud? That he won New Mexico? That he won the whole country, except for voting fraud? Does he really believe that? Do you believe?
No, Trump.
Right. It's a very good question, and we don't know what the motives.
Let me say this. He did not win every damn state. No president, as far as I can remember, has won every state. Trump is ridiculous on that. He's been ridiculous on that. That's why a lot of people is against Trump, because Trump be like on some Gemini crap, on some Gemini. Woo! Them Geminis are crazy, y'all.
Of Donald Trump are exactly, other than he believes that he should be in power right now and wants to gain power back in 2025. And we even saw him go and visit your home state of Colorado just earlier this month for a campaign stop, which Colorado has now, for several election cycles in a row, gone pretty heavily towards Democratic presidential candidates. At the same time, some on the Trump campaign will make the case that more so than ever, any campaign stop is nationalized, that it's picked up on YouTube, social media, Twitter. People are watching it, so like his stop at Madison Square Garden. Of course, he's unlikely to pick up the state of New York, and yet going there, or the likes of California.
He's not getting California, New York, or Illinois. Illinois, and those are the most terrible places to be.
Let's be very fair. Donald Trump.
I'm here in Chicago. That's in Illinois. And trust and believe, it's ridiculous here.
But the likelihood of winning New Mexico, it's kind of tough to see based off of where the polling numbers are at right now, Tom.
Yeah. Vaughn Hilliard in his home state of Arizona. By the way, never go out to dinner with Vaughn in Arizona. You'll never get to eat because so many people want his autograph. Vaughn Hilliard, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, the last inflation report before the election is out, showing prices are still going up, but this is important. inflation at a lower rate than those prices have been at. Inflation came in at 2.1%, within a fraction of the Federal Reserve's target.
They tweaking this, y'all. They tweaking this because we in the election year and we just about a week away from the election. Now they trying to tweak the inflation thing. No, it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. The damage has been done. I stopped at the grocery store on the way home from work before I came home. I'm just freaking disgusted by these prices in these stores. It used to be, I remember, I used to be able to do my grocery shopping for the whole month. Now, I gotta buy groceries every other week. I gotta buy something. Mostly I buy my meats. I buy my meats every other week, every week or every other week. I gotta buy some meat or whatever because it's so damn expensive in the stores. Meats are so expensive now. I tell you.
Target of 2%. The Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the PCE, the personal consumption expenditure number, is now at its lowest level in 3.5 years, and it is right in line with what economists expected. That news is refueling expectations of another rate cut when the Fed meets next week after the election. NBC's Brian Chung joining me now. And Brian, what does this report tell us about the strength of the economy as we are headed into Election Day? And I got to say, I'm always surprised because, as you and I have said, the economy appears pretty darn strong, but not everybody believes it.
No, and look, you can't discount that people feel the sting of inflation that...
He's damn right. A lot of people don't believe it. People like myself. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. The economy, it don't look any different. It don't look any different than it did 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago. It don't look any different. I don't even know why they be trying to pull this mess. This mess, that's what it is.
Peaked around 2 years ago, but is still uncomfortably high for a lot of Americans. But the number that you just mentioned, that 2.1% figure, that's again how much prices rose between last month and the month a year ago. So that, again, that's the yearly change. It was up by 2.1%. So prices are still going up in this country, but that's certainly a lot slower than the around 7 to 8% that we had been seeing in the summer of 2022. And that's certainly welcome when you consider that most policymakers say, you know what, 2% is really where we want to be. 2.1% is within striking distance. And as you mentioned, the Federal Reserve, the nation's central bank that decides on interest rates, they're really watching that very closely. Although I want to point out their even more preferred measure is one that takes out food and energy prices. That one's a little bit closer to 2.7%, but nonetheless, a lot of market progress as of the last few months.
Yeah, and so inflation is easing, but as you and I know, groceries, for example, up more than 25% from where they were 4 years ago because of that inflation cycle that we went through. What does your crystal ball say? When will we see prices level off? We're already seeing them level off.
Yeah, well, you know, Tom, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be working on Wall Street. So I think that my prediction probably isn't as good as anyone else's. But look, what we've seen in terms of the trend...
That's enough of that. Let me see... what else? Nightly news. What are they talking about on nightly news?
These secret hairs in your ear will never grow back. That's why you can't hear clearly. The hairs inside your inner ear.
Okay.
Tonight, 5 days left, nearly 62 million votes in, and 1 million miles to go on the campaign trail. Vice President Harris and former President Trump leaving little ground uncovered in the desert west. We go one-on-one with Harris on the trail in Arizona, why she says Mr. Trump is out of touch with women after he said he would protect women like it or not. And
Day one, what's your first executive action?
plus, why NBA legend LeBron James is now throwing his support behind Harris. It comes as Mr. Trump tries to expand the map in New Mexico and battleground Arizona and Nevada, and why housing there is coloring how people see the growing economy. Elon Musk's legal battle over his $1 million lottery checks on the campaign trail, and how his social media platform X has changed since he took over. Plus, our window into how Microsoft tracks misleading videos being spread to millions. A stunning murder arrest in the wilderness of Montana. From a 911 call about a deadly bear attack to a complete stranger's confession. On Halloween,
No, I'm